Hello everyone, welcome to Codeforges. In this video tutorial series, we will be working on a blog application. For that, we will use NestJs as our backend and Angular as our client application. Additionally, we will be adding material design using Angular material, and we will use for our grid Bootstrap. Now let's start. First of all, let us install Angular material. The Angular application I have already installed using ngCli. Now we will add the Angular material library. We will just copy paste the code here displayed on the material Angular website and just paste it into the terminal. Let's select it and install. Additionally, we need Bootstrap. So let's go to the website, Bootstrap, and let's copy paste the code that Bootstrap is providing. Where is it? Download. We need the npm version. Now we will wait until the material is finished. Now, good. And we will install Bootstrap. You can already see that our package.json has been updated with animations, with material and Bootstrap. Good. Now let's add Bootstrap to our styles file. We will use just the grid of Bootstrap. We don't need the styles for the buttons and other components. We will just use the grid. So in order to add just the grid, we will go to Bootstrap, dist, CSS, and we will pick just the Bootstrap grid min CSS, the minified version. Good. The Angular material library is already installed, and we will just require the components that we will use in our application. Now let's start quickly our application and see what is going on there. Let's go to localhost and reload the page. Okay, it's not yet built. Okay, I see we have some style CSS errors. And this is because, as you can see, the error says we have style SAS, and this file cannot be found. This error comes because I have accidentally not selected SCSS as our style. We just need to go to Angular JSON and change it to SCSS. And we have another spot where where we have to change it here. Now we can restart the application and everything should be fine. Let's reload it. And the application has been loaded. Now this is a standard Angular CLI bootstrapped component, and all of those texts and images is just a standard generated file stuff. Good. Now let's go to our app module and see what we have here. One thing I need to change is the editor configuration and change the indent size to 4 spaces instead of 2, because I prefer in TypeScript to use 4 spaces. You can use whatever you want. Very nice. Now let's go to our app component. Hold on, didn't change, or it did. Okay, so in our app component we will delete the old title. We will clear up our HTML template, and let's take a look at the Angular material. Now remember, we want to build a blog engine, or better to say blog application. what should a blog application do? Well, actually it should just display at the very first beginning, it should be able to display some posts in a list as an example. For that, we will take Angular material card component, this one, here is an example. We will create some mock data for it, and we will run through an iteration over the mock data and render for each post this card here. Now let's go and start with the data itself, and we will actually start to bootstrap our structure. Now, as we already said, we'll have a blog, so we will create a folder blog. Now in this folder we can create a service folder, and inside here I will create a file called, I will create a file post resource and a post service. Now, why I call post resource and post service? Remember, while we will be working on a REST API, it is really cool to reflect actually the backend and the resource to what we will talk in our client application. This will make both our application consistent throughout the development. Whenever I change in the resource on the backend side something, I should reflect it in the client side as well. So this will ensure we will have reduced amount of errors that might happen throughout the development. Now let's proceed. We will also create a module, blog module, and a routing. Now perhaps we will skip the routing for now. We will create another folder called called list. Inside this folder we will create another module called list, post list module, and we will create a component, post list component. Its HTML part, post list, and maybe later some styles. Now you see I don't create any code, I don't write any code for now, because I just want to bootstrap the architecture of our future application. And this actually makes sense. You concentrate first on the structure of your application, or abstracting from the writing of a code. And this helps to build more or less structured applications at the first. And it doesn't take you much time to plan it. This is actually exactly like planning. You just plan what you will have. So I think for now it should be enough. We have enough modules and components, and we'll start to code this. We'll start with the module itself. We will create a Angular module. And by the way, this is all live templates for IntelliJ. It allows me to write some shortcuts and expand them to some templates. So we'll call it post list module. And for now, that's it. We will also declare the blog module itself, the main module for the blog application. This is also not required here. It's just the auto-generated values here, and the name is blog module. And what we will do now, we will import our blog module, which is the parent of our list module, inside the main and most top module, the app module. And this is done very easily. Blog module, we just import it. Good. inside the block module, we have some services. Now, let's start with them. We declare a service and call it post resource. And the same we will do for the post service. Now, the post service will be, I will talk about it a little bit later, but the post service will be our so-called service layer to talk to the post resource. The task of the resource itself is just to communicate with the API. It just makes a request to the API and then returns a response. No business logic should live inside the post resource, and you should not access the post resource via components. For that, use the post service. We will come back to this later. Now we will change the name of the post service to the proper name and double check if we have post resource. Yeah, we have everything. Now those red lines that you saw, this is the TypeScript lint that is telling us that we have some lint errors. While I'm using IntelliJ, I just need to hit a combination Ctrl Alt and L. It will solve all my issues with the linting, the most issues. Good. All right. Now we have declared those two services. Now let's just provide them in this module. This is something similar like importing them, but we just provide it here and said that those services will take part in the dependency injection, so that Angular knows when we require some of them, that Angular knows that yes, those are provided here in this module, and if you have this module, everything should be fine. Now we also have declared post list module, and that's why we will import it in the block module, because this is the top of the block module. We import the post list module. Nice, and I have here a little typo. Let me fix it really quick. And while I'm again using IntelliJ, it handles all the refactoring for me. And oh, I don't like the naming that it's using. It's using the Angular naming convention, but I don't like it because I think for my point of view, a class should be named as a class. Maybe because I have worked a lot on Java previously. Good. Now we have here a component that needs to be declared as well, and this is the post list component. Let's do it really quick. And we need to provide a selector. Now the TypeScript linter is telling us that we need to use a prefix called a app, and the prefix is described here in the TSLint file. Anyway, let's go back to the component. Let's call it post list. As you can see, the linter says there is an error. You should have a prefix app. We will do this. App post list. And we will provide the HTML file, which is our template for this component. Post list HTML. Great. All right. The component is ready, and we can actually declare it in our module, block module. Oh, wait a second, not in our block module. We declare it in our post list module. Post list component. And we also want to reuse it somewhere else. And that's why we will say that we also export this module. Great. Now we have everything declared. Let's just double check this. So our post list module declares a post list component. The post list component is declared, is described. We have our selector, we have our HTML link. Let's see what, okay, the HTML is empty. Let's just add something for the demo purpose. I am the post list module, post list component, I'm sorry. Component, right. And let's go back to block module. Everything is imported. Everything is fine. And the app module. Yeah. Now let's just take a look at our application and see if we have any errors. No, there are no errors, but there is also no text displayed. And this is because, well, we have declared our post list component and the module and the block module, and we have imported everything. We did not use the post list component inside our app component. Now let's do it really quick. Let's just say that we want here a post list, and let's see if this worked. All right, you see there is an error. A post list is not a known element. Let's try and debug this. When you see such things, there might be an issue in the build process. So I would recommend you first terminate your current serve development server and just restart it. And while we're using ngCLI, we just do ngserve. And give him some minute. Good. It has been rebuilt, and let's refresh the page. Still, the error is actual, and let's just double check. Maybe we have missed something. Let's go to our app module. We have imported our block module, and our block module has the post list module, but I guess the issue is it doesn't export back the post list module. So it imports it. You can use it inside the block module, but let's see if this fixes our errors. Right, this fixes our errors. Now the issue was in the following. The post list module was imported. You can use it inside the block module, but we have tried to use it inside the app module. And while it was not exported, of course, you didn't have access to the component. So you have to export the module that you want to use somewhere else. All right, this solved our issue. Now let's go really quick to our cart and material. No, actually, let's build first the template. We just want this cart, and let's take a look at the source. This is the mod cart source. So you can read the details over this about the mod cart, but currently we just take the code and copy paste it inside our post list. And let's see if that will work. Of course not. Why? Because the components that are used inside the mod cart, Angular has no idea about them. We just need to import, and we will import, I guess, in the app module, and on the top level, we'll import the mod cart module, which contains the component. And let's double check it again. That should actually, yeah. What else? Mod cart title. Well, that should be a known element. Maybe we need to export again. Export. Let's see. Okay, nothing has changed. Let's see what module it requires. It requires the mod cart module. Yeah, so that should be sufficient, but I guess we need to, oh yeah, I have imported it in the wrong class, in the wrong module. We will go to our post list module and we do the import here, mod cart module, because we use it inside the post list module. We need it here. Yeah, you see, it kind of worked. We don't see the styles. Everything looks strange. we just see the image, and this is because we never imported the material styles. Let's go to get started and go over the documentation and see how we import here. Step 4, include a theme. We will just copy paste this code. We will use the default theme that is provided here, and we will import it inside our main style CSS file. Let's see if it worked. Oh yeah, it didn't work because we also might need, oh actually, yeah, it worked. You see, you can barely see, but there is this card. There is the card. Now what's happening with the buttons? Let's go and check the buttons. What buttons are used here? Let's see. Yeah, you see there is the mat button attribute. That means that Angular wants to use the mat buttons, but while we didn't import the module, this attribute never evaluates into the material design button. So we will just need to import the mat button module, and it should fix the buttons. Yep, you see, those are the material buttons. Very nice. Now let's actually provide some markup for this. As I mentioned before, and we have Bootstrap, and we can create some markup, some standard Bootstrap markup for the grid system. And we will say that a card will take 3 columns. Oops. Let's copy paste it really quick and put it inside this container. Great, it worked. This is perfect. This is exactly what we need. Now let's quickly add some data, some mock data. We will create inside this list file, we will create some mock data. Actually, let's create some mock data here. It will be stored in a const, and we'll say post list. And the post list will be an array of objects. Each object will have a title, some title, a subtitle, a image URL. We will add in short from the example. We'll copy paste from the material design example A, and it should have content. Good. Now let's copy paste this data here. Just for the purpose of this video tutorial, we'll hard code it. Let's take the src of the image, some title, and it will be just a random title. Good. We have everything we need. Now let's duplicate it a couple of times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why 4? Because we have a 3-column grid system, and this should fill out all the 12 columns in our system. I mean markup. Alright, now this is just a placeholder for our data. We want to use it inside our component. Now we will create a public list. Let's call it post list. And we will assign the post list const inside our post list component. And now this allows us to take the post list variable and create a loop. Just loop through that. We say let item of post list. And now for each iteration, we will create a 3-column div with the mat card inside it. Now let's just remove the example card clause and we don't actually want this. Okay, we don't want a avatar inside our mat header. We just need the title itself. Remember, we have item title, and now the subtitle, item subtitle, the src, we also have it. Just remove the old one. Item image URL. Whoops. Oh no, what I'm doing, we just need to provide the image URL like that, and we don't have a alternative text, so we have a content. Good. Now for the content, we will take item content. Good. And let's just distinguish the text a little bit. We will say subtitle 2, subtitle 2, subtitle 3, subtitle 3, and subtitle 4, subtitle 4, subtitle. Good. And we should get an error, of course, because ng4 is also part of a module, and we will import it here, the common module. This is the core module from Angular, and we have it. We have 4 items rendered on our page, and it looks pretty okay for now. For the next tutorial, we will work on the data itself, so we will actually move the smoke data into a proper place for it. Well, actually, we shouldn't create post resource and post service for now, but we will use them in the next tutorial. For this tutorial, one last thing to add. Maybe we can have a nice toolbar on top here. So let's go to material. Let's take a look. Where is the toolbar component? It's in navigation, and we will take this toolbar. We actually just need one row for the toolbar, and the toolbar will go to the app component because this is the top layer of our application. Let's remove the unnecessary mod toolbar rows. Maybe we will leave some mod icons and make them as buttons, like that. Button, mod button, or mod icon button, and we will use this mod icon here. I think this is how it works. Not sure. Let's take a look at the icon component, at the button component, and icon buttons. Let's see the sources. Icon buttons. Oh yeah, you just need to provide the meta icon here. Good. And let's copy paste it and add the delete icon here. Now, as you can see, we get again the error because the mod button is not imported inside the app module, the top level module. Later, I will show you how to clean up all these imports of material modules in the maybe next or third tutorial. Mod button module. Yep. Double check. And mod icon is also part of a module. Mod icon module. Yep. Comma here. Good. The toolbar, as you already see, is also part of a module. Everything in Angular material is basically inside some module. So keep in mind. Toolbar module. Yay. Now we get the toolbar, we get the button, but we don't have the icons. Now this is because we did not import the icon styles for Angular material, but we will check it in the next tutorial. One last thing to do, let's just add some margin on the toolbar, and I guess CLS. While we use Bootstrap Grid, we have some nice classes, utility classes to use. For example, MB, which means margin button, and we can take some value here. And well, okay, this class needs to be added to the mod toolbar, obviously. MB. Let's see what works best. Well, I guess 4 is okay. So we will just copy paste the MB4 class and add it to the mod toolbar here. Class MB4. That should do the margin. Yep, it's working great. Last thing to polish, I guess this class here, the div class container, should be fluid. Let's change it to fluid. Let's see, fluid. Yep, it matches the width of the viewport, so we will take container fluid instead, the container itself. Let's just change it to fluid. Very well. This is actually what I wanted to show in this tutorial. It took a little bit more time than I was expecting, but the next tutorial will be more intense. We will work on the mock data. We will create a real resource on the client side firstly. We will create a service layer. We will add some more details on the application. And after that, on the third tutorial, I guess we will move to the backend part of this project. Thank you for watching. It was Ruben from Codeforges. Please join us in our next tutorial.